The feeling to willingly move crowds is so thrilling. Even Prince Charles is willing to pay shillings.
Hello, world. Welcome to another episode of Songs in the Key of G with your host, me, Mark G. In 1984, a little-known group called UTFO puts out a single for a song called Hangin' Out on a small label called Select Records. Now, the Hangin' Out single does all right for them. It gets a little bit of attention, but it kind of stalls out. But before long, the guys start to realize that the B-side of Hanging Out, a song basically about them hitting on a beautiful woman and being rejected, is starting to get some radio play and being heard throughout New York. Now, that song, of course, is Roxanne Roxanne, and Roxanne Roxanne will be the topic of our conversation today. Now, Roxanne Roxanne, to me, is an important song on three levels. Number one, it's very important in the fact that it raised the level of emceeing at the time. Number two, it really kind of raised the level of DJing and cutting, too, and took it kind of next level. Number three, culturally, it was huge because it spawned what people estimate to be anywhere from 30 to 100 answer records, and we'll touch on that as well. So again, one of my favorite songs of all time, Roxanne Roxanne. The name of the group UTFO stood for Untouchable Force Organization. Originally called UFO, they had to change their name because of the English rock band UFO. Pretty influential band, actually, kind of the bridge between hard rock and heavy metal. The 70s incarnation featured Michael Schenker, who went on to start the Michael Schenker Group, as well as be a member of the 80s heavy metal band, The Scorpions. Big up Klaus Meine. UTFO consisted of 4 members, 3 MCs and 1 DJ. MCs Kango Kid, Dr. Ice, and educated rapper EMD, along with DJ Mixmaster Ice. You know, I always kind of thought Kango Kid kind of pigeonholed himself into a wardrobe style with that name. What happens if you want to wear a different kind of hat, or maybe no hat at all? So prior to their pursuits in music, Dr. Ice and Kango Kid were a dance duo known as the Keystone Dancers. They were actually Houdini's backup dancers and can be seen in the video Freaks Come Out at Night, footage shot primarily at the original Fresh Fest. Those who know about the Fresh Fest know. Those of you who weren't around in that time cannot understand the joy we felt at the groups they had assembled to perform at the Fresh Fest. Also, a young Jermaine Dupri can be seen in that video. He also started out as a dancer. So very influential, the Fresh Fest, much love. So in late 1984, Kango and Ice, along with EMD and Mixmaster Ice, are signed to Select Records, and they immediately put out the Hangin' Out single with Roxanne on the B-side. In 1985, early 1985, they released the self-titled UTFO, and at that point, everybody's favorite rap song was Roxanne Roxanne. The album was produced entirely by an R&B group called Full Force, who also worked with Lisa and Cult Jam, I Wonder If I Take You Home. Great song. And also had a few songs of their own. They were also the tough guys in the House Party movie. I'm still wondering, though, why they had Bow-Legged Lou speak in that weird voice. He didn't sound very tough. I know that was the point, but it was an odd choice, I thought. So at this point, Roxanne Roxanne is huge. And everybody knows it, and most people love it, but not all of the feedback was positive. One day, a 14-year-old girl named Shantae Gooden was hanging outside of her home in the Queensbridge projects when she heard her neighbors talking, one of which being producer Marley Marl. And she heard him talking about the fact that they had scheduled UTFO for an appearance at an event they were having, and for whatever reason, they canceled on him. Well, she stepped up to him and said, you know, I'm a rapper, I'm an MC, and if you want, I will write a song dissing them for you. So with that, they went in and recorded a song called Roxanne's Revenge and released it with Shantae now referring to herself as Roxanne Shantae. And so from that point, the Roxanne Wars began. Now, I'm going to stick to the content of the song breakdown, Roxanne Roxanne, because you could do a whole other show about the Roxanne Wars, but I will mention a few of the most notable Roxanne answer records. Of course, Roxanne's Revenge, Sparky's Turn, which was a song that sparked the battles between Roxanne Shante and Sparky D. Very, very classic records. Roxanne's Doctor, Do the Roxanne, The Parents of Roxanne, I'm Lil Roxanne, Yo My Little Sister, Rappin' Roxy, Roxanne's a Man, and the final word, which was basically rappers saying, please, no more Roxanne songs. Even UTFO and Full Force got into the act by producing their own record to diss themselves by an artist called The Real Roxanne. Now, I've heard the majority of songs on this list, but there are others that just exist in legend and lore, and who knows how many Roxanne answer records there actually were. I know there was a lot of them, and I know that during that time, everybody would show up with a different tape and say, you know, hey, have you heard Roxanne's Parents? And I would be like, oh, yeah, man, but are you up on Roxanne's Doctor? And it was a whole scene, but it was a really interesting time, and a lot of records were made from the Roxanne Roxanne record. Let's get into the song. Now, the song begins with Kango Kid asking EMD if he's seen the new girl in town. Now, the beat consists of chopped up sounds from the drum break in Billy Squier's The Big Beat, resequenced in their own pattern, accompanied with cutting the sound from B-Sides' song Change the Beat. Now, B-Sides was the project of Fab Five Freddy, who later went on to do all kinds of things in hip-hop, including host the first incarnation of Yo MTV Raps. So Kango goes on to recount to his friend the humiliating experience of trying to hit on Roxanne. Cause I'm Kango, Mr. Sophisticator. As far as I know, ain't nobody greater. From beginning to end and to beginning, I never lose because I'm all about winning. But if I was to lose, I wouldn't be upset, cause I'm not a gambler, I don't bet, I don't beat in no casino, and baby why you nizzo, that I is the grizzate kizang gizzo. So after all that, he still strikes out though, and he even gets upset and calls her a crab, but she's so dope that he even has to pull back off of that, and he says, hey, calling her a crab is just a figure of speech, cause she's an apple, a pear, a plum, and a peach. Now, based on what Educated Rappers heard, he thinks he now understands where Kango Kid went wrong, and he thinks he knows what will attract Roxanne.
Yo, Kango.
EMD strikes out too. So when I met her, I wasted no time, but stuck up Roxanne paid me no mind. So Dr. Ice steps up and says, hey, Educated Rapper, here's where you went wrong. This is how you need to step to Roxanne. So Dr. Ice steps to her and immediately begins having the same difficulty that his friends did. At one point, she even says, hey, I've seen you before. You look like a thief. To which he replies, me, the doc, a hood, a rock, running around the street, robbing people on the block? Nah, that's not my style. In crime, I'm not related. As far as I'm concerned, I'm too sophisticated. But Doc stays persistent, and eventually he gets Roxanne to agree to a date and meet him at the beach. But guess what?
Did you take it to the beach? That's what we planned. But she stood me up. Roxanne, Roxanne.
So anyone who knows this song probably knows what my favorite verse is. It's definitely verse 2, super clever and really, really classic. She thought my name was Barry. I told her it was Gary. She said she didn't like it, so she chose to call me Barry. She said she'd love to marry. My baby she would carry. And if we had a baby, we'd name the baby Harry. Her mother's name is Mary, which is really quite contrary. Her face is very hairy. As you can see, she's scary. She lives in Mount Airy. Her father's a fairy. His wife's a secretary. His son's in military. They forced him to enlist because it wasn't voluntary. His daughter's name is Sherry. His sons are Tom and Jerry. Sherry had the flu, but it was only temporary. Back in January, or was it February? But every time I say this rhyme, it makes me kind of wary. It's only customary to give this commentary. Some say it's bad, some say it's legendary. Keep searching all you want, try your local library. You'll never find a rhyme like this in any dictionary. Classic. I will add, though, that gay jokes really don't age very well, and you find a lot of them in old hip-hop, but just letting you all know, we know better now. So those are my thoughts on the highly innovative and influential song Roxanne Roxanne, one of my all-time favorites. Once again, I thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you like the content on the channel. It helps the channel grow, and we certainly would appreciate it. So this is Mark G signing off as always, saying be good to each other. We need a little bit more of that in the world these days. And until next time, peace.
If you love hip hop, it's to all the real MCs. Come on. If you love hip hop, it's to all the real MCs. Come on. Come on. If you love hip hop, it's to all the real MCs. Come on. Come on. If you love hip hop, it's to all the real MCs. Come on. Come on. If you love hip hop, it's to all the real MCs.